How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Trailmakers Creations. Today we're going to be starting with a giant squid. It's basically just a sub that's shaped like a giant squid. His tentacles open up like this, his arms, I don't know what you want to call them. They open up like that, for like grabbing boats or grabbing your prey or whatever. He's got his big eye in the back. It's pretty squid-like looking giant squid thingy. That was a fun build. That was another shape I thought of with the sail shapes, those triangles. Thought, hey, those are kind of like squid wings. And then, of course, it was after watching Scrapman try and make a cuttlefish. So that is the giant blue squid. Does about 50, 60 kilometers an hour underwater. I haven't tried grabbing anything with it. I'm probably sure the limbs would probably just break off. Unless it was something fairly small that would be able to fit inside that cage. But you might be able to trap someone in there. In a small boat. This would be enough to scare anybody. To battle against a big giant whale or a fish of some kind. So I'll be uploading that to the shop if you're interested in a big squid. It's basically just got a body full of water propellers. I do apologize for the lighting. Having some lighting issues here in the studio. So I may look a little off, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Alright, let's head back over and take a look at our next build. Alright, so recently, Cosmonaut built a snow cruiser that was an old Russian build from years ago that didn't work all too well, but it was a pretty cool looking build. And I commented that I was going to build a miniature version, but a fully functioning miniature version. It had a small biplane on top of it that would come off with a crane, and the crane arm would lift it off, and it would take off, fly around, and then come back, and the crane would put it back on top. I don't imagine they ever got a chance to test that. Because the thing barely even drove. I think it drove a whole distance of 45 kilometers or 75 kilometers in its entire existence. So, not a real successful or applicable build. But I wanted to try and build a miniature version. He hit maximum complexity as well on his. So I tried to do it under the 700 and make it fully functional as well. And it turned out better than I expected. This is actually a very cool build. So let's check it out. I took some artistic license in the design. Tried to keep the same color scheme, the same overall design and build. But here's the cockpit on the inside here. We can jump in. You can see inside here. The reason why it's built like this is because it's got a really good first-person view from inside, like this. See? Huge windshield. Drive. You can drive around, no problem. It's actually pretty speedy on ground. Now, on the ground, let's go back outside here. Orbit cam, on the ground, we can hit number 1. That will give us some lift. So we got a little bit of off-road action. We got some ground clearance in case we need to go over some terrain, some rough terrain. This is, again, designed for Antarctic exploration. So, crevasses, big chunks of snow and ice, stuff like that. Water. So, it also, we can drop those wheels. It also floats quite nice. And say if we were to come to spacebar when we're in the water like this, gives us a little bit of extra propulsion. It also has tank steering in the water when you're floating. So if we came across an obstacle that we couldn't climb over, like some rocks or something like that, then we have a front end lift assist in the form of some pistons that eject and then come up at a 45-degree angle with some skis on them. So say, for example, we were trying to, we could just drop the wheels if we wanted to. But if there was some obstacles in front of us here, we can see that these would allow us to ride up those obstacles to get over top of them. Snow or ice, big snow banks, snow drifts, stuff like that. This would allow us to lift the front end a bit and not get stuck. So we can put those away. They fold up nice and easy up under the front end there. So we know she floats. We know we got our off-road. Ooh, 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 bang, bang, bang. Oh, that's not good for your plane. Oh, there goes our pontoons. Okay, well, let's just rebuild. There we go. All right, we'll drive out on the wharf here. I still haven't even showed you the coolest part of this thing yet. So we'll drive out on the wharf. Number 3 activates our cruising water propellers. So we'll just hit number 3 now and then just drive into the water. And there we are at just cruising speed, about 16, 17 kilometers an hour, 18. That allows us to cruise along. We can hit spacebar while we're in here as well. That'll give us a little extra power, boost us up to around 30 kilometers an hour. The nice thing with the motorized, with the cruising speed being set to a toggle, is that we can just let it cruise while we pop out here, and our boat will bring us out to where we need to go. So, but from here we can also just jump into the plane. Now the magnets underneath are to give me that little extra boost lift when you go to take off and detach, and they will stay in a repulsive mode for 3 seconds, and then they will switch off and then switch on to attract mode, and they stay connected in attract mode. So I can fly around and then come and land back on here. Theoretically, I've done it a few times. We'll see if I can do it for you guys here, and then I can get back in the vehicle and drive away, and go somewhere else, and then still be able to detach it even without the attachment blocks. So let's make an attempt at that. So while we're in here, let's see if we can get a good connection. Number 4 is what allows us to take off and sets everything in motion. There we go. We'll hit space for power, and we'll fly our little biplane here. This is a cool little biplane all by itself. See, it does have 2 little mini thrusters there. It just needed it for that extra speed for control, and the 1 small propeller in the front, and that's it. It's pretty quiet, I think, because it's detached. So as you can see, our vehicle is still just cruising along, putzing along. Our magnets are on, and now they are on attract though. So we're going to attempt to land on the back of that and get back in the vehicle. So we did our exploration, we flew around. Now we're going to test our gliding skills. And we're going to see if we can land back on our vehicle in the water while it's moving. And you got to remember that you got to be able to position yourself so that you can take off again. Ooh, that's not great landing, but it works. See, now we can get in the vehicle like this. We can still drive away. Dee-dee-dee. And then say we want to go out that way. Okay. We need to re-steer this thing to make sure it doesn't crash into the carrier. And then now we can jump out of here again, jump back in the plane, hit power, hit number 4 to turn the magnets off. Oh, where do we get the flyaway? The nice thing is, see, now that the magnets are off, you're thinking, oh man, you can't land there anymore, man. So now your magnets are off. Aha! I have remote control power of the magnets. See, now they're on because I can turn them on from the plane. Plane seat has control of those because those are set onto an XOR gate that is on the vehicle itself, not on the plane. So let's fly out this way. We'll see if we can get a better landing, something a little more controllable, something a little more normal looking, shall we say? Okay, here we go. Bring it in. Nice little glide action. Not too fast, not too slow. Just like this. Little tappity tap. Come on, over top. Nope, nope, nope. Pull out, pull out. Try again. Second part of the primary build. Oh, 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 oh. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. This plane has barely enough power to keep itself in the air, so it's one of those balancing acts between moving forward, getting some lift in the wings. We definitely don't want to land on it sideways, because then we have to take off sideways. Okay, spin around, try this again. I've seen guys try and land planes on aircraft carriers that are huge, and it can't be done. If I can land this on a moving target like this, that, come on, oh, so close. So close. Mean. Oh, oh, come on, Come on. Now, this was built for the high seas. Now, if it's this difficult in calm waters with no wind, I imagine it'd be almost impossible to try and do this on the high seas. Look at that. How's that for a landing? So that is the mini snow cruiser. I will be uploading that to the shop, and I'll put the controls in the description there as well. So speaking of the high seas, let's head over there and take a look at a couple of sailboats. So on the high seas map, I was trying to build a sailboat, like a racing sailboat. Try and get as fast as I could possibly get it to go in the wind with no other power source except for a sail being pushed by the wind. So the first concept that I came up with was this one here. This is called the wind tamer, and let's have a look how this one functions. They're really, really simple. I'm probably going to do a how-to on how to build a racing sailboat here in the future. Stay tuned for that. Q and E rotates your sail, and for me, because the wind in this map is always blowing in the same direction, rotating around the vortex, it's set to 45 degrees. If I hit E and hold it all the way this way, you can see it'll want to turn my boat in towards the wind, towards the vortex. But my two large rudders, with A and D, I'll tap facing into the wind this way. And you notice the speed, I'm almost at 50, 48. So keeping this sail almost in line with the wind, very much at a sharp angle to the wind, is where you're going to get the most speed. The wind wants to push you that way, but your fins down here, you can see I've got quad fins in the front. And then the rudders in the back will keep you going in the other direction. So the wind is basically almost pushing you uphill. But it's pushing on that sail. The sail wants to go that way. The width in the boat is to stop the tippage over. You'll see here we can sail at a fairly decent speed. Solid good 40 kilometers an hour, bursting in speeds as we go over the waves. But for me, the trick was, you know, you're sailing with the wind when you can go around the islands. If we look at the map, if you can sail out here, you know you're doing well if you can sail around the Three Kings in between this passage. But you know you're doing really well if you can sail out here with the wind, because the wind is moving in that direction, so you can get it to push you all the way out here and around this island. I want to have a race. I challenged a few people, Cosmonaut being one of them. Scrapman, if you want to join. Con as well. A wind-powered vehicle, and we will race around this island, out to the mushrooms, out to this island here. You have to pass at least one iceberg that's floating. Around to the red zone, the volcanic area here. Pass in front of the wharf. Don't have to go inside there, just pass in front of the wharf here. And then all the way back to here and sail back to here. Just a wind-powered race. It would probably be, not to say fast, but it would be, I think it would be exciting, because the wind is basically what's powering you, so then it would all basically be down to the design of the sailboat. So, being way out here, we can continue to sail. I can even try and sail this thing using the wind out to those big waves. That's where it gets kind of fun. You gotta be a little bit more in control of your rudders and your sail, because the wind gets stronger and stronger as you go up this way, right? As you go up them waves, or you'll tip over as well. So you'll see here, this will slow us down a bit. We'll actually pick up speed as the wave drops. And the more we turn into the wind, the faster we'll be going. See, now we're going faster than the wind. So we can keep ourselves flowing with the water, the current of the water and the wind as well. See, I'm doing like almost 60 here. But we're heading straight towards the island. So if we had to sail around that island, we're going to need to turn this way a little bit more. And it's only small movements in the rudder too, right? Turn this way a little bit more, and then try to avoid being flipped by the wave, while we're still trying to catch wind to push us on the other side of that island. So this was the wave tamer. This was the first racing boat that I tried building. Works pretty good. I'll be uploading that to the shop as well. So let's head back to the Tiki Port, and we'll take a look at the second one. So the second racing boat I tried to build is called the Blue Streak. It is basically the same design, but a little smaller than the Wave Tamer. It's got a single rudder in the back, but it's got this weird sail setup. trying to catch as much wind as possible. And both of these are set to the same speed, so we get this action. It's the same thing. We'll hit E, rotate our sail facing the wind, and set our rudder using A and D to face us into the wind. I was trying to go for minimum weight, but this one is, because it is a lot narrower, will actually flip over if we have too much wind and we're facing at too sharp of an angle. This one in the front here will actually bury itself in the water, and we will flip. But this one gets about the same speed, up to about the same speeds as the wind tamer. I'm finding that that seems to be like a limit to how fast we can go using the wind, unless there's some kind of sail positioning technique that I'm unaware of how we can use. So see, we're sailing here 41, 42. Make sure our sail's all the way set to 45. Turn in a little bit. I also like to try and keep the rudder, if possible, in the water, because the rudder itself will catch a bunch of wind too. And keep turning your back end. When you don't actually want to turn the back end, you only want to turn the front end. So you'll see I've got a 50 kilo weight on the back there. The nice thing with this one is, as well, just like a real sailboat, you notice that it tips up on its two pontoons on the one side. So we can tip to the one side, to the left side, to the right side. Get some decent speed. Up to 50 kilometers an hour, a little over sometimes, if you steer it right. Sometimes you need to rotate them sails so they're not quite at 45, as the wind gets a little sharp and these waves get a little weird. Come at the different angled waves from different sides. So that is the Blue Streak. So that's the second racing boat. So I'll be uploading that to the shop as well. Fairly simple controls, fairly easy to use. Just takes a couple of runs of practice heading in this direction, and you can actually sail your way all the way around the map. And then we can have some races. We can have the Vortex Open Invitational Sailboat Race. The Zero Core Race of the future. Trailmakers, anyways. Alright, so that's all I got for you today, folks. Thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Sorry about the delay in the content, but work's been kind of busy. All you guys that have put in your requests, I just want to thank you guys as well. I am working on a lot of those projects. As again, I've said before, I work on multiple builds simultaneously. So I've got probably 10 different builds I'm working on right now, and new ideas in the works. So stay tuned for those. All right, if you enjoyed this, check out some of this end content on the end screen here, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.